What's about you? What's your favorite book?
My favorite book? Oh, I don't know. I have so many. I think from a self-help point of view, I probably have two. I have one called the Celestine Prophecy,
Hmm.
which is a story of a man who goes through different forms of enlightenment, and they've kind of turned it into a bit of an adventure book. But
Wow.
a lot of the lessons in that book, the 10 lessons that you learn through the book, are things that you can apply in real life too.
Oh,
So I
sounds
found
like
it
a
a
great
very
book.
useful. Yes, it is. I just found it very useful because it made me more aware of my interactions with other people and how I affect other people
Mm.
and how they affect me too.
Mm. And what's the other book?
The other book I haven't read for a long time, but it's called The Secret. They made a film of it as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's famous one.
Mm. But yeah, I read the
Talks
book before the film.
talks about, I believe, the law of attraction.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you a big believer in that?
In a way, yes. I think if you put out positivity, you will get
Mm.
positivity back.
Mm. I yeah, I agree with that. It's like what the Indian culture call it karma.
Mm. Yes, exactly.
Is that based on the Indian culture or is it on something else? This term karma, if I'm mistaken. Uh, do you know anything about that?
I don't. No. Um,
Yeah, I believe it's an Indian culture thing. It's not based on religion or something like that.
but I think it might be a Buddhist concept. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It may be.
Because
Wait.
the Japanese use that word as well. So, and I know that Buddhism is
Hmm.
quite big in Japan.
Oh, okay. Hey, I
Sorry?
don't know how. A
Oh,
new. Okay. She's. Are you a guy or a girl? I don't know how to pronounce the name. Oh, that's fine. Nice to meet you. Nice to know you. Yeah, we were talking about law of attraction and karma.
hmm,
The book Secrets.
yeah.
Nice to know you all as well. Same. So I totally agree. I think the outer world is a kind of reflection of our inner world, how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about the world.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, if we keep looking at the world with a negative image, I think the world will throw at us negative things to prove our image about the world.
Yeah, I mean, in meditation as well, you focus on the positives because that's what you're trying to train your body and your mind into. So if you put positivity outside of yourself as well, it makes sense that it would have a greater effect on the world. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, this concept, meditation, um, what does it mean for you, meditation?
I went through Kundalini training. So for me,
Hmm.
meditation is becoming, I don't know how to explain it. I should know how to explain it, but I'm not sure how to explain it.
Maybe I put you on the spot. It's hard.
Oh, it's a very precise question to ask, so I want to give a very
Exactly.
good answer.
Yeah.
What does it mean for me? I think for me, it's a way to become at peace with myself,
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
accept myself, even which I think in some ways is more important than others accepting me.
I totally agree with that too. Hmm. And what is the difference between meditation and yoga? The word yoga. Does it mean anything to you?
Yoga for me is meditation through movement.
I
Meditation
see. Okay.
I would do sitting still, trying to be as still as possible, trying to quiet my mind as much as possible. As
Hmm.
some people do that through movement, and I think that yoga is one of the ways that you can use your body movement to be able to meditate.
Hmm. Yeah. I was thinking the same, you know. When I tried to learn about yoga, I was doing yoga videos. Most yoga videos on YouTube are about stretches. They are
Yeah.
physical movements mostly than seeking into what is inside of you. They do some stretches, then after that they take some time, some minutes to just relax, to just lay on the floor or close your eyes and just observe and and
Yes.
feel
Yeah.
be aware be aware of what's going on in your mind with your feelings. And when I read the book Inner Engineering, I found that yoga is something much deeper than that.
Mm.
In the book, the author Sadhguru said that there are there are different dimensions. We have the physical body, we have the mental or the mind, and we have the energy body. He said
Yeah.
that yoga is a way to balance all of our dimensions or parts.
Hmm.
And when we balance them, we feel life as it is, as we're supposed to feel it. And we feel a state of bliss, a state of peace, a state of happiness. Why don't we feel that state right now? Is because every part of us put, is pulling us in different direction. Our mind
Yeah.
is is thinking about something else beyond this moment. Our body is only thinking about fulfilling its needs,
Hmm.
safety, food, sex, and our energy are are in a different direction. Some of us do work that makes us feel burned out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we force ourselves to do certain things. So every part of us is in a different direction. Yoga is a way to balance all of that, to
Hmm.
put all of these parts in one direction, which is living in this moment. This is how I understood it. And there are different types of yoga. There is Kundalini yoga, like you said. There is sadhanas. There is a lot types of yoga. Each yoga deals with something.
Yeah.
Hey, said,
Hello. So, talking about my
can
favorite subject, yoga.
yeah, look at the chat. RM asked a good question. Can yoga actually fill the spiritual void in one's life, and how so?
Can you speak or what? You can't speak?
She said she's in a crowded place. She can't.
Oh, okay. Um, Can yoga actually feel the spiritual void in one's life? Well, first of all, what the hell is a spiritual void? I guess I don't know. Why I did yoga, so I think I have some experience. And what I can say is it will make you feel better. And that's what we ultimately want. Just makes you feel better.
Yes.
I think by spiritual void you mean like the meaninglessness, or like the feeling of the emptiness, or like the actual void. Like yeah, void is emptiness. So like when someone's depressed, they feel emptiness. They feel numb, emotionally numb. Exactly. And actually, yoga stimulates emotions. It's kind of a double-edged sword in my experience. You can experience emotions both negative and positive emotions both more intensely. Like, I don't know if this is caused by some imbalance or something, because some people say that, yeah, if there's like imbalance in your yoga practice, you become more aggressive and stuff like that. But I did notice that when I do yoga, like you have sort of like you inhale life energy, like I don't know how to describe it. It's weird. Like everything becomes more alive within you, and so even your emotions become alive, and that includes negative emotions like anger, or yeah, also positive emotions, like you can just go out to nature and have almost tears in your eyes just by looking at nature. You feel so emotional, just emotionally good. Like yeah, usually it's good. So
Yeah, I believe I will answer it quickly. I believe a spiritual void, meaning what do we mean by spirituality? Well, for me, spirituality is um, is the extreme of beautiful emotions. This is how I explain it or how I look at it. Meaning, we feel so happy, we feel so blessed, s- we feel we are at peace with ourselves. Those are some the extreme of our good emotions. This is what spirituality to me, because in a sense, spirituality can't be something bad, or spirituality can't be something that hurts us or affects us in a negative way. Spirituality is always something which is good, beautiful, blissful, ecstatic, stuff like that. So yes, yoga does help. Why? Because yoga draws your attention of who you are and what is this life and the importance of living in this moment. It draws your attention to the gifts you have, which is life, how precious it is, and how magical every moment you have right now. In every second, so many things are happening. The world is moving outside, and your inner world is also moving. So many great things. It makes you aware of how beautiful this life is. Yes, it is spiritual in a beautiful sense. It draws your attention to all the things that are beautiful in this moment.
yeah, but um, like hearing someone just say that life is beautiful and yoga makes you see all this beauty and all that. Like you can hear someone say that and become really skeptical. Like, what the hell is this person talking about? Like you cannot relate at all. And
Yes.
I noticed that in myself too. Like right now, I'm not relating to you as much as I would have like 1 year ago or like 2 years ago when I was really intensely practicing yoga. And just this just goes to show that you your perception, like this is what you talked about, your perspective or your perception of the outer world and how beautiful it is and how it makes you feel. Well, that is completely dependent on how you feel inside. And you discover that through yoga, like when you do yoga and you shift your, you work, you do your body, you do your energetic practices, you work with your emotions. This shifts your internal makeup, so to say, and this also in turn shifts your outer perspective or perception. And then you can become like Eunice and come to us and say all of this stuff, and like we can relate to it.
No, no.
So it
Yeah, but I believe the process of yoga is something where we stop ourselves, we stop our thoughts, we stop our perceptions, we stop our pre-assumptions of what is yoga and what is life and who are we. Yoga, in my belief, in my understanding, is a process where we start seeking, or we start uh, we start just observing of what is happening, what is going on. We don't say this is beautiful or this is bad. We just aware of what's going on and try to make sense of what is going on later on. So yoga is a process where the self or our conditioning are stopped, and uh, and the objective or the true the true nature of who we are shows itself. Is it clear?
I think if you look at yoga as a, how do I describe this? As a way of achieving balance. Different countries, different cultures seem to have different ways of doing it. So, for example, the Indian version is yoga. China had Tai Chi. Japan has Aikido. If you think of it as, think of yourself as a Venn diagram. So you've got three interlocking circles in a sort of triangle shape. In the center, they overlap. That's you. Now, depending on the size of each circle, that's your balance. So one of those circles is your physical body, your physical fitness, your physical wellness. One is going to be your mental health, your mental development, that side. And then the third triangle is your spirit, your spiritual side, your energetical side. How well are you developed there? Most people, I think, in this day and age are very underdeveloped in the spiritual side, in the energetical side, because we just don't practice that anymore. Our mind is looked after, our body is looked after, but our spirit, not so much anymore. The energy work that we used to do with meditation and things like that, culturally, we just seem to have lost that. And I think yoga is a process of being able to rebalance those three things.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I look at it the same way. And someone typed in the chat, does yoga enables you to become more in control of your emotions? I think, yes, it does. From my experience, it does. You become in control of your emotions. Because I was speaking with Seth, this may turn into a debate. What do you think? Okay, I will ask you, Audrey. What do you think emotions are? I said that emotions are just thoughts in their beginning. We think of something, then we start feeling that. Any emotion that we have, in its essence, is a thought. What do you think about that?
It is a thought, which is your mind, with the intent
Yes.
of the energy behind it becoming something physical. So it's still all three connected.
Yes. Yes, true. Okay. That's
oh,
a
hold
wise
on.
way.
Let's not complicate things. when you feel an emotion, when you feel an emotion, can you feel it in a certain place? Can you feel it in a certain form? Does it have a certain flavor that's unique to it? Or does it have the same flavor that thoughts running through your mind have? Well, and for me, thoughts are different than like, deep-rooted beliefs, maybe beliefs that we've acquired through, for example, childhood trauma. You know, um, yeah, I agree that there's always interaction, like body, mind, emotions, energy, everything's one giant big soup. But you can still distinguish them in your everyday experience. You don't feel something. You don't have to be thinking to feel something, right?
Yeah, but thoughts are so quick, then we feel, and we don't notice the thoughts behind that feeling. For example, a member of your family walks into your room while you were doing something important, and you shout at him or her with an angry reaction, "Leave me alone, let me focus." Now, before you made that reaction and that angry reaction, you thought that person distracted you from doing the, that thing which is important. So you thought before you reacted, and it was so quickly that you didn't notice the thinking behind it. But if you decide, then I won't get angry anymore in my life. Before I will get angry, I will before I show my reaction, I will just take a few seconds to think of what's going on. Next time, you will have a certain increase of awareness before doing that angry reaction or something like that. So, for example, the same example, you were doing something important and a member of family walked into your room. Now you have decided you won't get angry anymore. When when a member of family disturb your attention or focus, uh, you said, okay, I won't get angry anymore. How can I deal with this situation? And you start reacting to that situation with a conscious with the conscious reaction, not an unconscious one, like anger. I hope I made this clear.
Okay, but hold on. Like, here's an example. Imagine you're watching, let's say, Insidious or some, I don't know, Exorcist or some really scary movie, and you know how scary movies like to have like these, cheap jump scares. Like it's calm and cool, and all of a sudden some scary ghost jumps at you, and like you freak the shit, you know, and you're scared in that moment. You feel something. Your body jumps. I mean, it's in your body. Your heart pounds. You feel hot. You feel flushed. There isn't even a space to think. Like it's immediate. And this is and this is what I'm trying to say, that
Wait, isn't scary movies, they freaked you out when you were young, but right now those same movies that you watched when you were young, they don't freak you anymore. Why? Why that happen?
well, maybe your fear triggers change, but
No,
that is
because
independent from what I'm saying.
you are looking at things logically. Because you are looking at that movie
You
and you say
you
this is
don't
not real.
but
I,
you
I,
don't
I kind of I kind of disagree with both of you.
okay.
Fear tends to be a learned reaction, and it's something that part of your brain called the amygdala stores.
Exactly. Yes, it's something
So
we have
when
with
you were a child, you reacted to these things because your amygdala was still developing and still learning the reactions. You still
Mhm,
had to learn that things are hot to touch, for example. So don't touch the fire; it's hot.
mhm,
It'll burn you, or something like this. The same with the movies. When you're older, you've learned that it's on a screen, therefore you're safe.
Yes.
So you,
But I
so
think Eunice, what you try to say whenever you describe this, like what you try to say when you say that emotions are thoughts, you try to say that emotions breed thoughts. But even when you say that, you're talking about two things having an interaction between them. Like you said, when you're sitting and someone disturbs you and you get angry, there's a thought maybe, and there is the reaction, but that's like still two distinct things,
yeah,
And
but you
in
you
my
won't.
in, in my opinion, emotions have a stronger driving power than thoughts or like logical thinking. Emotions are physical; they happen in the body. You feel them in the body. They do trigger the brain. I mean, the brain and the body are like they're one. They're connected through the nervous system or whatever. I don't know the biology of it, but it is interconnected. But you still, like in your experience, you feel it in your body. That's what we call emotion, and it is certainly that has a very strong driving force. So in some cases, like for example, if a bear is attacking you, your body will not let you you know think it logically so you can feel fear, because you just have to feel fear instantly to
Yeah,
escape
the
with your
instinct.
life,
Yeah.
because it's a stronger motivation force that will keep you alive rather than your thoughts. Your body just jumps, in fight or flight mode, and you just escape.
Yeah,
That's what keeps you alive. And like your
Also,
body won't even like listen to you. Like your mind will not even give you the space to think. It's a life or death scenario, and you have to act instantly.
I think what we're trying to talk about here is conscious thoughts versus subconscious thoughts.
mm,
Conscious thoughts are the ones that you are thinking and know that you are going to make some sort of logical reaction to. Subconscious thoughts are the ones that you don't know you're thinking, that are tied in with your emotions, and they're the ones that you instinctively react to, I think.
and they are tied up to your emotions. That's a good point.
Yeah, thoughts are. I agree that thoughts are very tied to emotions.
Iman, feel free to talk. She's been quiet. Okay.
I have a question for you both, actually, or
Mm-hmm.
for the room, if anyone else is interested in sort of joining in with the topic. You both talk about, so far you've talked about anger as something that you don't want to feel. What makes you think that anger is a negative emotion?
Because it always leads to negative consequences. It never leads to a positive consequence.
So why do we have it? Why do we feel anger if it serves no purpose other than to destroy us?
Probably does serve some kind of purpose, but maybe not a very conscious purpose. Maybe a
Yes.
purpose that is ingrained without inside us, something that we didn't have a choice, with. Like for example, um, like if you were raised to hate Jews, for example, like some people do that, they raise their children to hate Jews. You will, it's in your conditioning, and you grow up just hating Jews, and the only purpose that hate serves, or like that anger, hate and anger like are interconnected, but the only purpose that it serves is just just to keep you, because maybe you identify as someone who hates Jews, and it's self-protection in a sense, I guess. Protects your worldview, so to speak. That's what I believe.
In Kundalini meditation, I was taught that anger is, as RM said, anger is just like any other emotion. It's something that you have to learn to accept within yourself. It's usually it's caused by feeling out of control. If you don't feel in control of something, your instinct, your primitive instinct, is to destroy it.
Oh,
It's
that's
it's also
amazing.
why we want to squeeze babies. It's because they're cute. Our primitive brain doesn't know how to deal with that, so we want to destroy it. That's why we want to squish babies, for example.
Yeah. Uh, if you reflect on that, you will find that most of the things that you were angry about because you wanted to change that situation or in a deeper sense to control it,
Yeah.
to control the reactions of others or a situation.
It's intolerance, lack of acceptance. You can't accept something. You're angry, and that anger is like energy to, like you said, change stuff.
Mm.
But like it's um this is where like we we sabotage ourselves. Like if we condemn our anger and we say no, our anger is not right, it's not wrong, it's wrong, like we shouldn't feel this way, then in a sense you're adding more heat to heat, you know. You just resist what's already there. Like your anger is already bred from resistance. You resist what's already there. Like you can't tolerate
Mm.
what's there, so you feel angry, so you want to change it. And so you want to change your anger, and you're not tolerating your anger, so you want to change it. So you're adding fuel to fire, and it just like it's pretty ironic.
I think this is where meditation certainly has helped me, because I used to be a very, very angry person. And now if something makes me angry, I just sort of say to myself, right, I am angry. This is okay. I accept this. I understand why I'm angry. Now I just need to let it go.
One thing I learned from that book in engineering was something called responsibility, and in in this concept, it shows you how to deal with anger. He said about anger that is an unconscious reaction to things, and it always end up to be a negative consequence. Anger was never will never give you something positive, a positive outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to ask ourselves when we feel angry or when that feeling right starts to show, we need to ask ourselves immediately, okay, whatever is going on, I am responsible for, meaning I have a choice on how to respond to what's happening. Either I will respond with consciousness, with a conscious reaction, or with an unconscious reaction. And keep in mind that unconscious reactions always gives you negative consequences. So, for example, the book gives this example. You were sitting and you dropped a pen. You have right now a lot of choices. You can either pick up the pen, or if you can't, you can ask someone to pick it up, or you can ignore it. You have a lot of options. So meditations train you to to know that you have a lot of options to deal with anything, including your emotions, your reactions to what's happened, to to what's happened. For example, if someone makes you feel angry, before reaction to that feeling, Just be aware and tell yourself that if I react in an unconscious way, it will only lead to negative consequences. So I am responsible for my reaction, meaning I have a choice of how I want to react. So what do I want to react with consciousness or with conscious reaction or unconscious reaction? And I try to apply that in my life, and it always worked. I I stopped reacting with an unconscious reactions like anger. Although I feel a little bit of anger inside of me, I say, okay, I am responsible for how I will react to this situation. And I always try to respond with a conscious reaction, and it leads to positive consequence.
All right, but let me question that a little bit. um, you, the problem that I find with this concept of responsibility is to make a responsible choice, to be able to respond consciously to something that is unconscious, like emotions are unconscious, like you don't control them, they control you. And so to be able to respond to that emotion, you would have to like free yourself from that hold that that emotion applies to you. Like emotions breed action. Like if an unconscious emotion arises and it's strong enough, it will like almost always breed unconscious reactions that pushes to unconscious actions. And so it's true that you ultimately have a choice to have to react to that, but in reality, it's harder said than done, you know?
Mm. Yeah,
So
it's
like
hard.
you need like Audrey said, like meditation helped her. Meditation enabled her to make conscious choices to how to respond to her anger in a conscious way, you know, which
Yes.
is um which is not something that comes naturally to most of us. Like you need to like train yourself to detach yourself from that emotional charge that comes with reactions, that emotional charge that like uh, pushes you to react immediately without even thinking. Like it's kind of automatic, and I struggle with that myself. That's why I know that it doesn't
Mm.
come naturally to everyone.
Oh, yeah, it's hard, but I will reply to that while answering RM at the same time. She said, "What if someone hurt you? Don't you think that oppressing your anger would enable that person to hurt you more?" I will explain that. And related to what said, it's hard. I try to apply it to my life, and hurt and anger are almost the same, so I will explain it with anger. Mm, um, in my personal life, I live with my sister, and I found in the past that I was angry at her about a lot of things. So, and always when I express my anger, it only lead to more anger from her part too, and it leads to conflict, and both are unhappy about what's happened and feel stressed about what happened. So when I read the book and I understood what anger is, let's look at anger from an objective point of view. In science, a person who is angry, his blood is producing, if we analyze his blood, we will find poisoned chemicals. Anger is produces poisoned chemicals. You cannot transform the blood of an angry person to another human being. It's poisoned. So when someone is angry, he is poisoning himself. His blood is boiling. That's why our face becomes red and we feel stress because our blood is boiling, full with poisoned chemicals. So when someone is angry, he is harming himself. If you allow him to make you angry, you will harm yourself too. So why do you want to do that to yourself? If someone because people who hurt other people or people who feel angry is because of what's happening within them, within themselves. So you have a choice too to either keep, poison yourself or keep yourself calm in such a situation. It's hard, but I tried to apply this to my personal life and it worked for some time. Right now, I still feel angry from time to time, but I always try to go back to that conscious, calm state where nothing affects me. It worked for me for a while, for a month. Right now, from time to time, I get angry, but I always try to go back, and I know for a fact it's possible for nothing and no one to make you angry or cause you any emotions that you don't want to. It's possible. I know for a fact it is.
I agree that it's possible, but I disagree that it's healthy because it's a natural reaction to something. I think that
No, I don't think it's a natural reaction.
uh,
Yeah,
that's the,
sure, it is. Uh, if we look at it from a evolutionary point of view, like you said, our amygdala and primitive brain react like that, try to control things. When he sees danger, our amygdala feels fear, trying to protect us. But what is amygdala? The part of the brain that has those feelings. Those are something unconscious, meaning in our unconscious mind. Those feelings of fear, of anger, those are unconscious. But are those feelings true most of the time or not? For example, we feel fear about a lot of things that we should not feel fear about. So most of our feelings are not valid, meaning they are not our brain trying to protect us from a lot of things, but it's just a primitive brain. It doesn't, it, our brain is not aware of a lot of things. Anger is an unconscious reaction, but it is not valid. It produces negative results. Reducing it or suppressing it, it's totally fine. It's a positive thing to do. It's not a negative thing to do because if you
yeah,
don't
absolutely.
if you don't oppress it, it will lead to negative consequences. It will lead to more damage than oppressing it. Your
Hold
life
on.
will become okay.
Um,
What?
I'm sorry, I didn't want to
No, it's
interrupt you.
fine.
Go on, go on.
I think I made my point clear. I believe.
But I just think like it's hello Salah. We're just right now we're talking about emotions and we're just discussing anger and how to deal with anger and where it comes from. But um, I think it's unhealthy to think about it that way. That it's okay
Mm.
to suppress your emotions. You know,
I'm not saying.
emotions.
Wait, no, I'm not
Yeah,
saying all of your emotions. I'm saying the emotions that are not valid and
especially those.
produces no. But why would you? I'm not
Okay,
saying
let me
suppressing
explain.
them. No, no. But
Okay,
I'm not
yeah.
saying that. I'm not saying,
Mm.
sure, we feel them, right? But we deal with them with a conscious matter, with a conscious choice.
How does that happen? How do we deal with emotions consciously?
That's where the practice comes in. It's not something.
It's I think there's a few ways that people react to anger in the way I see it. Because anger is a strong emotion, and like you
Mm,
said, it it naturally has sometimes it has some unwanted consequences, like you can cause damage to someone just because you're angry, or you can damage relationships, things like that.
Mm.
So there's a few ways you can react to it. Either you can just let it flow through and you express it, and you can either express it by actually doing the damage, or you can express it by doing something else, like um, you don't actually have to, if someone makes you angry, you don't have to lash out at them. You can tell them, give me a moment, I need to express my anger. And you go and you punch the shit out of your pillow and you feel good
Yes,
immediately after.
but brother, but you don't reduce it. Yeah, you don't oppress it. Meaning, for example, if someone makes you angry, uh, we understood that anger is something uh, poisoning. It poisons us, right? And um, I forgot my point. Sorry. Sorry, I interrupted you. I
Okay,
forgot it.
I'll continue then. You can think about it.
Okay.
So that's one way. The other way is you can suppress it. And you know how people suppress emotions? They actually tense their bodies. Like when you feel anger and you want to like not react, you will like shut your mouth, you will like tense your body, and you try to hold it. I must not react. I must not do something that I will regret. And you go and you're angry. Maybe you stay angry, and you try to,
Okay,
convince yourself not to be angry.
I,
But there's
I
hold on.
remember this.
Okay, keep it. Let me tell you another one. Another
Okay,
way is this one takes more awareness, I think, or more. It doesn't come as naturally as the other two, because the other two are kind of like automatic responses. The other way that doesn't work automatically is you can feel it without necessarily letting it like dictate how you react and what you do. You can just feel
yeah,
it, because in my experience, emotions, even the thoughts that come with them, they come and go. You know, they're like a wave, a really strong wave that actually wants you to do something that you will regret, but you don't actually have to if you just feel it and like be with it, sort of like meditating on it, and you just observe it and like you let it go. It just passes through, just like that. Doesn't always happen perfectly, but yeah. And I think from those three, there's three there. Either you express it, you suppress it, or you observe it. I think suppressing it is the worst of the three, because that anger won't go anywhere. Like even
I
if
think
you
you're,
suppress it, it will need to be expressed. So if you can't
yeah.
express it right now, you'll probably express it sometime in the future, and it will be stored in your body. And emotions are very heavily stored in our bodies, and this is what yoga says. Lots of yoga scripture says. I think they say
okay.
this. Yeah, you can go on. I've talked a lot.
No. You mentioned good points. I think I'm talking about observing it in a sense. Now let's make this practical to be understood. Now, just reflect on your past. Imagine a situation where you reacted in an angry way towards someone. You shouted, or you reacted in an angry way towards that person. Now, think about it deeply right now. Try to reflect on it. Did you had a choice? For example, when that situation happened, couldn't you ask yourself why this person is angry, or why this person did this to me? Couldn't you at that moment ask yourself this question before reacting in an angry way? For, for example, in my personal life, I used to be angry at my sister. And in the past, I wasn't angry anymore. Why? Because everything that happened, before I reacted to her, I asked myself why she did this. And I tried to look at it from her side. I didn't suppress my anger. I just tried to understand the situation in an unconscious manner. I tried to look at the situation from her side. Okay, and I said, told myself, okay, I am responsible for the way that I will react right now. And I tried to look at the situation from her side. And I responded with a conscious manner, with a conscious reaction, not with an unconscious one. And I kept in mind that with anger, I will poison myself. She is poisoning herself. I can't do that to myself. And if I reacted in an angry way, I will only make things worse. It won't lead to any positive consequence.
I
Now,
think the
try.
key word. Sorry.
Yeah. Just one word. Just reflect on your past reactions with anger and see if you could have reacted differently or not. You will always find that yes, you could have reacted differently if you know these things that I shared with you, I believe. Okay, go ahead.
I think we're arguing two sides of the same coin here. I think that maybe we're arguing syntax. I don't think that any of us are thinking that the anger itself is a bad thing. I think it's the way we deal with it that we're arguing about, the
Yes.
way we handle it. So if you
Yeah.
look at anger as, for example, a physical thing, let's see. In Dutch, for example, we have a saying, if someone is angry, they need to get rid of their egg. So imagine that when you're angry, you lay this little energy egg. You have to get rid of it. What do you do with it? Do you hold on to it, which is the repression? Or do you channel it and get rid of it in a different way? Now, you can do that by doing a negative action like punching someone in the face, or you can handle it in a positive way, which is like Eunice is describing, which is talking it through. But the anger itself is not the problem. The problem is how do you handle it? And that's the same with any emotion. Look at an overexcited child. That's just excitement out of control. We look at it and think it's a bit annoying, but it's just a child that's learning how, yeah, exactly. Or going to the gym said, oh, I'm sorry, my laptop's gone crazy. But yeah, that was basically where I was going with that.
I think there is a great distinction that I've been, I listen to videos about this and lectures and people talking about it, and they make a really great distinction, which is the distinction between valid and true. So you were saying, Eunice, earlier that it's not true, so it's not valid, but in my opinion, like, it doesn't have to be that way. Like, I agree with you that usually when we're angry, like if you were, for example, completely fulfilled in your life and you were like completely psychologically healthy, you had no childhood trauma, you basically, achieved everything you wanted in your life, you are fulfilled, you would probably not feel angry. Or for example, not just that, like if you knew the 100% truth of a situation, like for example, let's say your sister made you angry, right? If you saw the truth of that situation, what made your sister do what she did, and what
You
made
have
you
noise. You have noise.
real?
Your mic
Um,
right now is good.
is there
Keep
still
going.
noise?
No, it's good right now.
Okay,
Keep
like
going.
if we see the truth of a situation, like I said, like why your sister makes you angry, why she does the things that make you feel angry, or why you feel anger in the first place. If you had like complete knowledge of all of this, you'd probably never feel angry in your life. In every situation where you go and you discover like the truth of it objectively, you see it objectively, you would never be angry. So yeah, anger is, you can say that it's like a false emotion. But even if it's false, it can still be valid because even if it's born, even if an emotion is born out of ignorance, there is still a good reason it's there, and it needs to be respected. It shouldn't be rejected because it won't do
Mm.
you any good if it's rejected. So if it's not rejected, then it's valid. It's valuable, and it deserves. It's not evil. That's what I'm trying to say. Even if it's wrong, even if it's ignorant, like maybe you have some childhood trauma that triggers that emotion, and that childhood trauma was inevitable. Even if you were like a kid and you made some totally false assumption, like for example, um, the color red is evil, just a silly example. And now every time you see the color red as an adult, you become angry like a bull. uh, it's wrong. It's not true. Not everyone feels the same way about that situation, but it's still valid because you were a kid and you had no choice, and that's how the human system works, you know. And maybe you can work on it, and now that you know it's not true, you can work on like solving it. But like rejecting it doesn't do you any good. That's what I'm trying to say.
Mm. I'm thinking deeply about this. uh, I don't want to get out of the topic, but I was thinking why, if fear and anger, all of these feelings are unconscious, then why they say courage is one of the virtues any human can have, one of the best virtues any human can have. Courage. And courage is against fear, isn't it? So pe- people we say they are courageous, they, they have courage. Don't they feel fear? And does fear still exist with them or no? I believe it still does, right? But why, if it still does, are they rejecting it? Or why do they have courage?
Because they are
Maybe because
controlling.
maybe because they understood that courage is, that fear is not a good thing to have. The opposite of which is what's good. Maybe same thing with anger.
Well, maybe it's just another example of responsibility, of responsibility, of being able to make conscious responses despite your emotions. You know, you might fear, and if you're conscious enough, which is again not doesn't come naturally, um, you can choose how to react to it. You either uh, cower from the thing that makes you fearful, or you act in face of the fear, despite feeling fear, which is what we call courage.
Audrey, you wanted to say something? Sorry for interruption.
No, I basically agree with what Seth just said.
Yeah, and she also said, of course, no one is brave 100%. They may sound courageous in certain instances where you feel frightened, but the opposite is also true. Yeah. So those are human feelings, I believe. We all have them. Fear and courage and anger and calmness. I think we all are experiencing them in different degrees.
Is it isn't like um I posed this question to Eunice earlier before. I said, isn't emotions basically the crux of life. Everything we want or everything we don't want has to do with emotions at the end of the day. It doesn't have to do with what we do or what we think, but it has to do with how we feel. Like fear, love, happiness, passion, basically everything we pursue or everything we run away from.
Iman, you have some noise.
Sorry.
It's fine. You want to say something, Iman? You didn't talk.
Hello guys, I just don't know what to say.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello, Iman. Welcome and thanks for joining. Don't feel shy. I mean, you can say whatever you want. I mean, I know we talk a lot. You can say what you think too. Like anything, it doesn't have to be like something special or anything.
So sad. Guys, I will get out of this topic. If you want to go back, feel free. You talk about anything you want. You said you will start the challenge waking up at 5 a.m. True.
Yeah. I haven't started reading the book yet. I'm trying to finish another book to start that book.
انا بديت واخا ونصناضي وليت انا
اسماعيل انت هنا.
خباه.
What chapter are you reading?
انا قريت غير الشابيتر الاول وصافي وليت كنفيق ديما من 5 الصباح.
A chapter, the first chapter, only one page, and Ismail started.
النهار كيدوز واعر اصاحبي تتكون نشيط غير هو الصراحه دابا شي شويه غنعس
Same.
عييت.
You got further than me. I haven't ordered the book yet.
You are ordinary.
Oh, we don't order here. We don't do that here.
Yeah. Everything is free.
It's free real estate.
Maybe we should. I swear, when I finished the book, especially, it was the most surprising book I have ever read, in the sense the author gives so much and for free. He said that you can teach this knowledge in the book to anyone you want. Feel free to share it. He insisted on sharing the knowledge in the book to anyone for free. And when we finished reading the book, he gave us a gift, a great gift. I wasn't expecting it. I was totally shocked. What is it? He made an app and he created a course for 66 days for free, every day one video. And he made in the app, he made an app to track the progress. And he will send an email and a video for free. Along in the app, you will find meditation videos to do in the morning, and a lot of things, a lot of things. He made all of this for free. So much work and so much effort he put into it, and he published it for free.
Wow.
Yeah, he's considered to be one of the most influential people on earth. That's what Google said.
The most influential? That's crazy.
Yeah. Most influential leader on earth.
I think we started losing people.
I talked too passionately, I believe.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, no more emotions. Bye."
No, I motivated. I motivated them to go read the book immediately.
Oh, you wish. Couldn't even motivate me. No, I'm kidding.
I'm just kidding. But it's not a book only about waking up early, but also about how to get the most out of your day. He shared some techniques on how to be productive, a lot of things.
How about this saying, guys? Listen to this. I think hell is something you carry around with you, not somewhere you go. What do you think about that?
Who said that? That's an interesting one.
I think it's by Neil Gaiman, I think.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting saying. Hell is something you carry around with you.
Yeah,
Whenever I hear that, I mean, just by hearing that saying, I remember like I would talk about emotions, because our emotional reactions are, in my opinion, heavily dictated by our childhood conditioning and whatever emotional experiences and interpretations we got from our childhood period.
yeah, true. The childhood affects us, especially in terms of in the aspects of relationships, our attachment side. But and also on how we view life, the way we were conditioned by our parents. That conditioning may bring with it negative thinking or positive thinking. So it's always in each one life. It needs to be a point when one reflects on that conditioning or reflect on that personality or personality that one has, where he got that from. I think we need to do a renewal of who we are. Can we do that? Is it possible? Is it possible to create
That's
yourself the way you want?
Yes.
that. Well, that's ego death, maybe ego death,
Ego.
renewal, rebirth.
Hmm.
I'm reading this book, which is interesting. This is the book that I'm reading. It's called The Presence Process, and it's basically a book about shadow work. And you know, shadow work has a lot to do with emotions and like kind of integrating those emotional experiences we carry around with us from childhood, those emotional, emotional imprints, as they call it. And so, um, basically, like in the book, they say this is what actually like transforms your experience of life to the better. Actually, solving your emotional charge that you inherited from your childhood, like from childhood trauma, not even like really like when you say trauma, like we think about like something horrible, something like very outrageous. Like it can be something small, just like raising your hand inside the classroom when you were a kid and your classmates laughing at you. Like that can traumatize you and like create social anxiety in your life, which is an emotional response. And so basically this book like shows you how you can enhance the experience of your life by tackling these like very deeply rooted emotional charges, not by like going out in the world and like changing stuff on like your physical circumstances, you know, who you're in a relationship with, which job you take, not by thinking through, not by positive thinking, but by actually like going to the root, which is your, he calls it emotional body, which is yeah, basically your
Mm.
emotional imprints.
Imprint.
And
I
yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
um I don't know, I didn't really get into the practice yet because he's still explaining like the whole process. So, but one technique that the book is really focused on is breath work, breathing. And apparently, for some reason, breathing has some deep connection with our emotions that I still don't understand yet.
Only meditation.
What? No, breathing, breath work.
Okay. Ye- Yeah, they do that with in therapy. When when you visit a therapist and uh, there is an exercise to access deep uh, deep rooted memory inside of you, and I guess it's related to childhood trauma. And to start that process or that that technique, it always starts with deep breathing. I don't know why.
Even yoga is heavily focused on breathing and lots of breathing techniques.
Mm. It's a
Yeah,
really
I think.
interesting topic. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say Kundalini meditation too is based around how you breathe. It's a very big part of that too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
in this book, oh, okay,
it,
yeah,
just
go,
Vidal.
go.
Hey, Vidal, if you want to say anything, feel free to say it. Yeah, go ahead. Sir.
Yeah, the book is called The Presence Process because it actually teaches you how to be present, like present in your daily experience. Like it's very spiritually oriented, but it tackles like mindfulness and you know the presence that you get from meditation from the perspective of healing your emotional wounds. You know, because these emotional wounds supposedly are what's the driving force that disconnects us from the present moment, that makes us like chase the future or like be living in the past, so to speak.
Hmm. I think it's a really interesting topic and a process for one to go through. It's really special to connect with your inner child because all of us have that inner child inside of us. It it shows itself in relationships. In relationships, we feel vulnerable, we feel attached, we feel insecure sometimes, or secure, depends on our attachment style. Or if we have a trauma, it shows itself in romantic relationships, especially. So the inner child is a very vulnerable side of us, and it's a paradigm on how we view the world too. For example, when we were kids or children, not even kids, children, if if we were hurt physically or mentally, we will live in this world and holding on to what happened to us. we will view other people differently as the way they are. We will view other people in the way we were raised. Maybe we do right now. Maybe we view other people based on the way we were raised when we were children.
I think in some degrees, yes, but as an adult, you develop the responsibility to be able to change that sort of thing as well. You should be developing the control to be able to change what you need to. For example, there are certain members of my biological family that are quite racist. That's what I grew up with. But as a teenager, I realized, hold on a minute, this isn't quite correct. And as an adult, I made sure I had a completely different view so that when I brought up my daughter, she didn't grow up in the same vicious cycle that I did.
Yeah, those are some behaviors we are conditioned with, but there are also feelings. We feel certain way based on how we were conditioned, right? You may feel fear or anger or
Yes,
insecurity
exactly. Yeah.
towards a race or a religion or something like that, or an identity. For example, if you were raised in, yeah, we can change it when we are adults, but it's hard. Why? Because we can't even identify what we are conditioned with.
Mm.
That's
Yeah,
why yeah.
it's like the fish in water that doesn't know it's living in water, because water is all it's ever known, it's all life. Like unless like yeah, that's like we humans kind of know things through contrast. So the fish would only know what water is if it goes out of water and experiences land, or like, the open air. And same thing for our conditioning. That's why a lot of times, like, we don't realize what we've been enmeshed in, what we've been living in, our condition, our, like, um things we're not aware of. We're not aware of things until we change them. That's what I'm trying to say. That's how we experience. That's how we know what we've changed, because we changed them. You know,
Hmm.
kind of a word, like tongue twister there.
Yeah, but how the fish that lives in the water, her it's all its whole life, how can she become aware of that? Or us? I believe if she met a fish that experienced something outside of water and told her that, then maybe that fish will open her eyes to that possibility to experience it. I think same thing with childhood trauma. Books do that. If we read a book about childhood or Freud or Carl Jung about why why we dream or our childhood, how it affects us, I think it's similar to that analogy of the fish. It will open our eyes to a different world beyond of what we are experiencing, and we will start reflecting on the way we are living right now, or what we what what we have gathered from childhood or other people. I think books are the only way, I believe, or the help of a professional like a therapist or something like that.
Or um, just just life proves you to be wrong. If you if if you put an effort to question things, question what you believe, or question
It
how
will
you
take you
interact
so
with your
long.
mind.
It won't change much. It will take you
Actually,
so long.
in my experience, that works better than hearing someone tell me what to do and what is there and what's not there, because you don't really understand until you experience it yourself. And yeah, they help, but at the end of the day, you have to actually, discover what's real and what's wrong for your own self. You, or
Yeah,
you can just listen to people tell you about it. You can just go to some YouTuber and listen to them tell you what's real and what's wrong, and you can choose to believe them. But that actually doesn't do you any good, because the way someone, like, let's say a famous uh teacher, like a spiritual teacher, like a life teacher, a life coach, he had experiences that taught him things. He had experiences in his life that taught him things, or maybe he used his own critical thinking or whatever. But at the end of the day, he discovered those things for himself, and he knows them very intimately. But when he describes them to you, he uses language, and like he describe things in a superficial way, invariably, because it's just language. Like, he can't actually express something in its entirety. And even then, you don't know if you're actually getting the idea that he's trying to get across or not. If you can resonate to everything that he resonates with, until like you actually go ahead and discover it for yourself. And that's how like you intimately know that thing, because you lived through it, you know. So yeah, hearing like hearing stuff from others, like, it helps. Definitely reading books is helpful, but it's way better just like discover stuff for yourself, because first of all, you'll be more convinced that they're actually true, and second of all, you will actually know what it is, besides the language that describes it, besides the scripture that describes that thing. You just know that thing. You can describe it in 100 different ways, you know.
yeah. Well, I know what you're talking about. You are talking about Leo, I believe, and his his videos about meditation and enlightenment, stuff like that,
Actually,
right?
it applies to everyone. It's like
Yeah,
just
no,
one person or many.
uh, but I think this childhood and trauma and shadow work, I think each has its own different experience than that, because we I we all believe we our childhood is unique somehow, or what we have or what we have gathered from other people is unique to us. But reading a book about psychology, or or something similar to that, a scientific book, for example, will show you that what you have or what you feel, it's not unique to you. It's a human thing, and a lot of people have been through that. For example, a breakup, or a childhood trauma. I think childhood trauma can be only categorized into different parts. For example, sexual assault, or uh, being left alone. It can be categorized. It's not something unique to you alone. Anything that happened to you, it can be categorized. And anything that was categorized, it's been studied, and there are solutions for it. Because everything that we have experienced in our childhood, I'm certain that if you read about it, you will say, yeah, I feel like that. Maybe this happened to me. And right now I'm talking from my experience when I had a breakup months ago. I reflected on that during the relationship, not even the breakup. I was feeling insecure, and I read a book. Why I feel this way? I searched about it on Google, and an article talked about this book called Attached. And when I was reading the book, I discovered that I have a childhood trauma, and I discovered why I have it. I wasn't aware of that at all. I thought I am a healthy guy, I mentally, and I am okay. But in my relationship, I was feeling insecure. I was having negative thoughts only in my romantic relationship, not the rest of my life. And I was surprised, and I read the book. I understood why, and it's hard to change. I still haven't changed, but I understood a lot about it. So books and the things that happened to us in our childhood, I believe it's been studied over years and years, and everything you will have a solution for, I believe. And I believe there are methods to know what happened to you, even.
Well, I mean,
This
in
is a
my
proof. A few, only one sentence, sorry. There is a method. If you go to a therapist or a psychologist, he can help you analyze what happened to you. He will understand you even more than you understand yourself.
all right, but what does a psychologist do? He will ask you questions. He will try to guide you to dig deeper into your subconscious. But who's doing the digging? Is it him or is it you? He can tell you like he can come over to you, and this is maybe universal to every one of us. Like, hey, you have the trauma of being embarrassed, right? And that's probably true to everyone, maybe because I don't know. Like mostly people have had some experience in their childhood where maybe they didn't feel enough or embarrassed or something like that. That is very common. He can tell you that, and that's probably true. But will it do you anything good unless like you actually sit down and you try to dig into your subconscious and like see the memory, like remember what happened, the experiences that happened to you in your childhood, and then you try to, I don't know, work through them by some breathing practice, or like you try to deconstruct them, you try to contemplate them, or to question them. Active work that you do for your own self by yourself. And the books can show you how, you know, or yeah, usually books are really helpful. And it can be time consuming maybe to just try to reinvent the wheel by yourself, so to speak, or like try to discover everything by yourself and like reject all outside information, which isn't what I'm trying to say. But at the end of the day, like first-hand experience is how you learn primarily about yourself, especially about yourself.
Not high, yeah, uh, not everything can be cured though. It highly depends on the severity of the issue. Can you give an examples of the things that can be cured? Yes, sad, but you will have more success with a psychologist than you will have with yourself, I believe, because psychologists are equipped with tools and methods to access your inner self faster than you will do on your own. They they studied the psychology of human beings.
Well,
And
don't put too much faith in all psychologists. I mean, that's a generalization. I mean, some psychologists are good, some aren't so much. Some are like close-minded.
Yeah,
You can tell them about meditation or yoga, and they're like, "Oh, to hell with that bull crap. It's just like fairy tale." I mean, a good psychologist can help you, and even sometimes, even like a really close friend can help you more than some psychologists. In my experience, I mean, I'm not gonna say my experience because I've never seen a psychologist before, but I'm just assuming here because, yeah, I'm not saying it's not helpful. Guidance is helpful, but at the end of the day, like, you're still the one doing most of the work to discover
yes.
yourself.
Okay, guys, I'm getting tired. I will I will be for another 15 minutes, then I will go to sleep.
I'm afraid I have to go, but thank you very much for this evening. I've enjoyed the talk.
Thank you for talking with us, Audrey. I enjoyed this as well.
Yeah, that
I'll
was
see you
fun.
guys next week, I guess.
Take care,
Exactly.
Audrey.
All right, take care. Bye.
Have a nice week.
You too.
I still haven't heard RM's or Human's voice or opinions.
She's shy. The Iman, she didn't talk much. Sure.
Okay, there's just what's the word called again? Damn it, I'm losing my English, dude.
Maybe I influenced you.
No. All right, I guess we should conclude this talk.
Yeah, okay. Did you girls come from the Facebook group? I believe they did. Yeah. We also have a WhatsApp group where we keep sharing interesting things as well.
It's great to see people joining from the Facebook group, honestly.
It's growing.
Yeah.
ما عادش غادي نديرو في next topic I believe purpose.
Yeah, purpose sounds good.
I will send you the link of the group right now to not keep you wondering. Okay, next topic will be really interesting. We will talk about purpose. What is it? Does life have a purpose? How can you find your purpose? سعد فين وصل شي فيه؟
Don't ask.
Postponing it.
Yeah.
Oh, AM, you need to talk. Don't
Yeah,
keep
you
typing
have
in
to
the
talk
chat
more.
like that. Next session, I mean. Okay, I will be expecting you.